Gonna have a little change of scenery tonight because I needed somewhere else to do this. It's interesting living with other people during this COVID-19. I feel for my friends and family that are alone, meaning that they are by themselves through this experience for the most part. And I also know that the experience that I'm having is valid and real and meaningful and sometimes frustrating to me. Living in a fairly small space with a lot of people, and there's different people leaving and coming and going and working in different sites and stuff like that. That's what makes it. I find myself a little bit anxious sometimes because sometimes my own house feels dangerous to me, and I don't feel like there's enough room for me here, or I'm feeling out of sorts because I don't totally have somewhere private to be either. So, when I'm making these things, I may be intruding on someone else. So it's just an interesting thing to navigate. And today I'm finding myself sort of up against some stuff around that. So, needless to say, it's all good. It's all good. It's, in my ability to respond to things where my power lies. So, switch it up, plan B, moving on, do something else. If that isn't working, do something else. So, similar to that today, I woke up okay, but eventually, sort of mid morning, found myself in this really heightened state, and I can feel it in my body, and it hurts, but I don't sometimes know how to let it all go. So that intensity stays, and even though I'm being mindful of it, and sometimes I can breathe myself in out of that state, there are moments when I'm just feeling so anxious, and I'm not entirely sure why. Having generalized anxiety means that every thought flooding in could, trigger a downward spiral into something else. So it's it's a constant job, is how it feels, to be the watcher of those things instead of the thing itself. So, and I go back and forth and back and forth, and I have good moments or better moments than others. And I'm human, and I'm okay with that, and I'm just allowing myself to be human in all of this humanness stuff that's going on around us. Where today I had to go to the grocery store. That's an intense situation. I don't, pardon me, it just feels so strange to be in a situation where we're, you know, in a horse corral basically to try and get food that we need for our families. It went pretty fast. I'm trying to be careful, but not overly crazy, but the intensity in the air that's in places where there are a lot of people feeling a lot of different things, as an empath, it's on me. Like, it's literally on me, and now I'm like not only fighting my own intensity and my own shock and everything else, I'm now, feel like I'm carrying a whole bunch of other things that aren't really mine around, and I have yet to remember to create a ritual around protecting myself in those situations, instead of coming to the after effect of, oh gosh, I can really feel this on me, and not knowing quite how to, oh, drop it so that I'm no longer carrying it around, which makes so much more sense to me than staying in that frozen and locked down place. But, by mid afternoon after grocery shopping, it still wasn't working. I still was feeling tense. My fridge is full. That usually makes me feel, sure that in the next couple of weeks, my entire family will be totally safe and we can eat here every day and stay at home as much as possible. So those things, particularly as a single mom of my three kids for about 15 years, where feeding them was my number feeding and housing them were my number one and two priorities, keeping them alive, minor details, but it was all I could do. I remember, being in severe trauma and severe uh, dismay. Everything was cloudy. I couldn't really see anything, but I knew that I knew that I knew that I knew that I had to protect them and take care of them. So, going back to that feeling of feeling secure when I know that our shelter and food costs are covered and we're okay there, then I can sort of expand into some of those other things. So today marks my son's 30th birthday. So I officially have a 30-year-old kid, which is just absolutely mind blowing to me because I do not feel 30 myself sometimes. And One of the things that I really love about my son, he has this Peter Pan-esque quality about him. He has this ability to be childlike, innocent, loving, considerate, caring, but he has this Peter Pan energy, just this advantageous soul. And he takes life always in these doses that he creates, in these magical scenes and these magical adventures that he creates. And I know that today has been particularly hard for him because, like the rest of us, we're quarantined, and usually Cam's doing some big grandiose trip somewhere. He's flying a plane and on a beach and with all his buddies and stuff, and large parties. And so I know that this was maybe, woo, this is not what I thought that this would look like. But what I'm noticing in him is this delightful ease around it, where otherwise in past it may have been a very tense situation, it may have been a very intense situation, lots of regret, huge resentments, and I didn't sense or feel that from him at all today. And leading up to today, people were like, well, what if we could do this, socially distance this, so like this, and try and gather as a large group, and it just wasn't going to work. And he just finally said, listen, I'm just going to hang out and be 30. And it was just so cool to watch him transition from what would have been maybe shock and anxiety and ridden in that way, to being this beautiful experience that he experienced today, where he got to have socially distant visits with different people at different times, and everything just seemed to sort of seamlessly work into the next. His wife compilated a video with all his friends and family, 45 minutes long, of people just telling him how much they love him and how much they miss him and how much they wish him well on his 30th birthday. And I know that he's settling into that place of that's the gift. That's what abundance looks like. That's what it feels like. And maybe, just maybe, I talked yesterday about the fact that, this will forever be different. So we'll never be the same as it was before COVID-19 again. And will be some kind of version of that, but there will be things that will just have a butterfly effect at change. It's just inevitable. So, to see those sort of subtle ways that he's changing and settling into becoming 30, and just seems to be really calm and centered in that place instead of that anxiety-ridden place. And as a mom, that just makes me feel proud and pleased and relieved. Relieved some days. And I was thinking to myself, a couple of days ago, when I was talking about the intensity of investing in myself, and then feeling like I'm in resistance to doing that work, and knowing the reasons, because there are many, why I'm in resistance to go down that road, because those are like I've been doing pretty well just skating by, and not really diving into those sort of deep, dark, potentially ugly, crunchy, holy crap places. But I know, in that knowing place, which I don't often live, but I visit, and there are things that I know for sure that I'm called to more, that I'm to be in service to humanity. And I don't know the how, and I don't know the why, and I don't know all of the things around it, but I do know that these days, holding myself to a different level of accountability, taking steps, making progress along my journey, trusting the process, taking one step every day towards what it is that I say that I want, and being just more in that being place of being okay with everything. Even though sometimes when I'm at the grocery store and I see how weird life's gotten, and I'm intense, in my body, I then come home and I'm responsible to myself to either stay in that place and or find a way to eliminate that place from being where I'm at. And so that's when I'm like, okay, so it's your responsibility right now to take care of your mental and physical health, because right now you're not okay. So what can you do? What will you do? So I plugged in another meditation, and I tell you, when I put the earphones in and I lie down, I relax into such a beautiful state. And it deepens every time, and I didn't know that it could be so luxurious to be held and suspended in that place. It feels like I'm floating. And when I visit that place, I'm like, wow, this feels so good. This feels rich and luxurious and amazing and comforting. And yet my meditation lasts for this much of my day. And even though I've gotten to that state today, that doesn't always happen. But what I'm finding this second time around is that there's something more in depth and rich in that experience. So I'm just going to keep trusting that, because when I got into that relaxed state, it unlocked something that allowed that sort of tense state that I couldn't seem to shake, that I couldn't get away from, that was really insane in my body. Still here, still have residue of that right now, because lockdown hurts. It's painful. But I'm trying to breathe into those places and allow myself just to feel exactly where I'm at. And all of that is okay. Because today, do I feel, that I did everything perfectly? No, definitely not. But I created joy for myself today. I made time for myself. I enjoyed that time with myself. I carved out what I needed to be okay, because it's okay when I'm not okay to take myself to the place where I can be better. I'm worth the time. I'm worth the effort. And so are you. So I wonder, what have you done for yourself today? Did you breathe into any of those deep places? Did you notice that you were feeling intense or in lockdown? All of this is just practice. Motorcycle going by. Opportunities for practice. So every single moment of every single day gives me some sort of experience that, when given the opportunity to take a look at it, it's an opportunity to create joy. It's an opportunity to feel that hidden anger. It's an opportunity to feel frustrated and wonder why. It's that opportunity, I wonder what that sadness is. It's just all an opportunity to take a peek at it. And that's all it takes, is just taking a peek and just revealing to yourself, and then being super, super, super gentle and kind. And trust me, I keep going, well, you haven't gotten it yet, so like, are you ever going to get it? And the truth is, that's exactly the point, is not to go to that place. It's like, you know what? You're okay. You're doing okay. And today I'm going to choose kindness. And the other day, when I looked at myself in the mirror and I wanted to look away right away, I knew that it's time to start giving those compliments that I had been desperate to hear from outside of myself. The things that I, project onto this person and this person and this person, because they didn't give this to me. Yet I have not yet learned to give that to myself. So there's something to that, I think, like the other day when I did take the time and I stared at myself, and it felt so ridiculous. But I literally held my glance in the mirror for almost 10 minutes. And I told myself so many fabulous things about me. And when I left, I felt better. I felt fuller and richer and more abundant and more peaceful in my body and calm. And all of those things that I was telling myself are truths. They're truths. But up until this point in time, there are things that I wasn't willing to celebrate. And I don't know why. I'm not sure why we take ourselves out of the ability to feel excitement and joy in the things that we're creating, in the person that we are, in the contribution that we make, in the things that we do, and just by being who we are and showing up more fully and richly and deeply in those places, because we all deserve that, every single one of us. Telling myself you are enough, and then feeling like overwhelmed at the thought that that would be okay. What I know is by watching my granddaughter, I watch her all the time, she never ever questions if she's enough. I'm super curious when that happens. And I notice like little tweaks of that, you know, when she when we laugh at a certain time, you know, and of course we're laughing with her and because she's just so enjoyable. But then she gets self-conscious, you know, has she done something? So I watch so closely because those things could be so subtle in the things that we start to tell ourselves. Better alter that. Someone isn't happy. Oh, maybe that wasn't okay. Oh, I'm not sure if I should be that way. And then we start to fragment and the pieces start to, you know, kind of be out here. And at this point in time, when they're out here and there's that intensity and lockdown, everything feels foreign. But then there's that possibility to go deeper, to go into that alivened place and sink deeper into all that we are and just be the gift. Today was a gift. Thank you. Tomorrow, I've committed to starting another 36 day with Neil Diamond Walsh, and it was the thing I was behind on, and now I'm determined just to stay with it and do the work along the way, although I know it's going to be hard. So 30, my son is 30 today. I am the mother of a 30-year-old, and I just can't believe it. It's quite insane, actually, but good times. So much love to you today and every day. Mwah. Big love. Ciao for now.